I think people understand that technology is not always good and that technology is not always evil, but this idea that technology is not neutral is something that is sometimes a little harder for people to understand. And often I'll get a question about tools being neutral, right? Aren't the tools neutral? Isn't it just the intentions of designers or administrators that matter? And I always find that a really funny question because in another part of my life, I'm a brick mason. And I think about the tools this bucket full of tools that I carry every time I do a masonry job. And these tools have evolved into very specific purposes, right? So I have 7 different trowels. 5 that are just tuck pointing trowels, which are these like very skinny trowels that you use to tuck mortar into mortar joints. And I think folks who spend a lot of time with tools don't fool themselves that there's anything neutral about them. And I think that's true of our technologies as well, is that they've evolved to solve particular political problems. They have a sort of deep legacy programming in them that comes from the sort of policy area that they're in, the culture that they're in, that get embedded into the tools. But there's something about particularly digital tools where we have a tendency to think of them as neutral and objective. And so one of the arguments and one of the sort of points that I want to make in Automating Inequality is to help people really grapple with what's under the hood of these tools, both in terms of programming and in terms of the social context in which they're developed. So we can see why they tend to affect the same people in similar ways over time, even when it's not the intentions of the designer.